The hammering started before sunup. Not loud, not fast, just steady. A dull tap. Wood on earth. Tap, tap, tap. She sat on the porch in her father's old chair, the cushion torn from years of weather. Her coffee had gone cold. She hadn't sipped it. The cup just sat in her lap, trembling a little when the wind picked up. Tap, tap, tap. It wasn't nails. It wasn't iron. It wasn't her roof or the old windmill either. She tilted her head, listened harder. Tap, tap, tap. The sound came from behind the shed. She stood. The porch boards creaked under her bare feet. She stepped down slowly like she wasn't sure her legs would hold. They did. Barely. The grass behind the shed hadn't been trimmed in months. Her father used to keep it neat, used to bark about snakes and ticks. Now it reached her knees. She moved through it, brushing stalks away with her hand. The hammering got clearer, rhythmic, methodical, not frantic, not wild. She rounded the corner and stopped cold. A child sat in the dirt, bent knees, dirt-smeared arms, little hands clutching a hammer and a stick. She was pounding it into the soil like she was trying to stake the whole earth down. Another stick beside her, and another. 6 in a row, already planted, crooked and shallow. The girl didn't look up. "Hey," the woman said. The girl didn't stop. "You lost?" Tap. "You hear me." Tap. The woman stepped closer. The shed's peeling wall loomed behind them, rust curling from the nails. The hammer in the girl's hand looked too big for her. "You can't be here." The girl paused, still didn't look up. "I've been here all morning." "Is that so?" The girl nodded once, then drove the 7th stick in. "Where's your mama?" Silence, just the wind, just the flies. "You alone?" "I'm not alone." "Then where?" "She was here, before you woke up." "Your mama?" Tap. The woman crouched. Her knees popped. "You got a name?" The girl glanced at her, then down again. "She called me Birdie." Birdie. The name tasted wrong, like someone else's story. The girl finished the 8th stick and reached for another. "Are you hungry?" Birdie didn't answer. "You hurt?" "No." "You run off from somewhere?" "No." The hammer thudded again. Deeper this time. The wood splintered slightly as it sank crooked into damp earth. "What's this you're doing?" The girl wiped her nose on her wrist. "Marking." "Marking what?" "Where?" "Where what?" "Where Mama gave birth." The woman felt the air change. She didn't blink. "She what?" "Here." Birdie nodded toward the shed. "She laid down right there. Blood came out her mouth first, then the baby." The woman's stomach turned. "You're the baby." Birdie looked up for the first time. Her eyes were pale, not blue, just pale. Number I came after. The wind died. The shed creaked. Something tapped loose inside the tin roof. "What's your mama's name?" She didn't say. "Who brought her here?" She walked. The woman stared at the hammer, the carved wood handle. Familiar. The initials faded near the grip. That hammer. "Found it." "Where?" Birdie shrugged. "Was in the dirt. It wanted out." The woman looked toward the house. Her father's shed, his tools, his locked drawers, his silences. "That hammer belonged to my father." Birdie didn't stop. "Are you sure she gave birth here?" The girl patted the dirt gently. She screamed. It echoed. The woman pressed her hand to her mouth. "She died?" The girl nodded. "You saw her?" "She told me to." "Told you what?" "Keep her here. She's buried." Birdie tapped the last stick in. 12 now. A crooked half circle beside the shed wall. "She's in there," the girl whispered. "Under where you stand." The woman moved back fast. "I didn't bury her. The man did." "What man?" "He had a badge." Silence. "What did he look like?" "Like your eyes." The woman stepped back again. Her breath caught in her throat. "Did he say his name?" "No." "Are you sure he had a badge?" Birdie stood. "He told her to shut up." The woman's voice dropped. "When was this?" "Long time, but I heard her still." "You talking ghosts?" Birdie didn't answer. The sticks caught the wind now. They bent, groaned a little, like bones trying to stand. The woman whispered, "What kind of man leaves a woman to bleed in dirt?" Birdie said nothing, just looked at the shed, then at the ground. "I need to call someone," the woman muttered. "A sheriff, maybe." "He won't come." "Why not?" "He's in the shed." "What?" "He died after." "Who told you that?" Bertie started walking away. Hey, he buried her. Then the shed buried him. The woman watched the child disappear around the side of the house. Her legs wouldn't move. Her skin itched. Her breath felt thin. She looked down at the circle of sticks, at the hammer lying in the grass, then at the shed, the rotting walls. The lock was long and rusted. She didn't want to open it, but she would, tomorrow, after dark, and only if the girl came back. She didn't sleep that night. She sat at the window and watched the shed. The hammer lay where the girl dropped it. Dew glinted on the handle like it had just come out of the ground. She told herself the girl was confused. She told herself the shed was empty. She told herself the hammer didn't mean anything. But when the sun cracked the horizon, she was already outside, barefoot again. She stepped around the circle of sticks and picked it up. The wood felt dry, solid, used. Her thumb slid along the underside. Faint letters. J.H. She stared at it. Her father's name was Jonah. Sheriff Jonah Harlow. I retired 10 years ago. Dead 6 months now. This was his hammer. Bertie appeared without sound, just standing there behind the grass. You came back, the woman said. I don't leave things half done. You said you found it. I did. But it was his. I know. Where'd you really get it? By the floorboards. What floorboards? Bertie pointed at the shed. They're dirt, the woman said. There's wood under dirt. That's what Mama said. She took a breath. You said he was in there. My father. Bertie nodded. You said he buried your mother. Bertie stared at her. He told her to push through the floorboards. The woman's voice dropped. What does that mean? She was screaming. He said to keep her quiet, to push. Said it'd be over faster. You saw it? I heard it. I was still inside her. You weren't born yet? Bertie shook her head. You remember that? Yes. That's not possible. Still happened. The woman looked down at the hammer again. You said he buried her. He dragged her to the back wall. She stopped making noise. You saw that too. I saw it after. After what? I came out. I cried. Crawled. The woman backed up. Her chest ached. You're saying my father left her there? He covered her with dirt. Then he locked the shed. Then he walked away. You watched him walk. I followed him later. He dropped the hammer. The woman dropped it too. I don't believe you. You do. She turned away. No. You know what kind of man he was. You don't know anything about him. I know what he said. What did he say? He told her you weren't supposed to come here. The wind stirred the tall grass. A crow called from the fence line. He said she ruined everything, said she should have kept quiet. The woman's face went white. Bertie crouched beside the sticks again, started pushing one deeper into the soil with her hands. You don't have to keep doing that, the woman said. She asked me to. She's gone. No one else remembers her. That's not true. Her name's not in your house. The woman froze. How do you know that? I saw you check the ledger. You weren't inside. I was. No. You had it open by the stove. The page was torn. The woman turned toward the house. She hadn't closed the door. She said she had a name, Bertie said. She just wasn't allowed to keep it. The woman looked back at her. What was it? She whispered it once. Tell me. Bertie stood. Isadora. The woman closed her eyes. She'd seen that name. Torn, crossed out. You're making this up, she whispered. Why would I? To hurt me. To ruin him. He did that already. You think he'd leave a woman to die? He made her dig her own place. That's not true. Bertie picked up the hammer again. He said the well was full. The woman's throat tightened. He told her, this place was never meant for you. The woman backed away slowly. Bertie watched her. You need to go now, the woman said. No, you can't stay here. She did. You're not her. She's inside me. I don't want to hear this. She said you'd come back when he died. The woman froze. What? She said you'd unlock what he sealed. The shed door groaned as the wind pushed it. Just a little. Just enough. I didn't open it, the woman whispered. You will. Bertie laid the hammer at her feet. She said to use it. The woman didn't move. Dig, Bertie whispered. You'll find her. She didn't answer. I already did. Bertie walked off toward the fields. The woman stared at the shed, at the hammer, at the circle of sticks catching wind again. She heard something shift behind the door. It wasn't loud, not fast, just steady. A dull thud. Wood on earth. Again. And again. She shut the front door harder than she meant to. The latch clacked. The hallway smelled like burnt coffee and dust. She hadn't cleaned in weeks. Her boots left a faint line through the grit on the floor as she moved toward the back room. The room her father used as an office, where he kept the ledgers. She hadn't opened them since the funeral. She didn't want to touch anything that held his handwriting. Now she needed to. She yanked the top drawer open. Mice had chewed the corners of the files. A stack of thin black notebooks sat crooked in the back. She pulled the top one, then the next, then the one under that. She carried them to the table. One by one she flipped through. Fines, warnings, petty theft, fence disputes, livestock counts, pages and pages of names. Then another ledger. This one is thicker. Births. She ran her finger down the columns. April 2nd, boy, Marlene Fisher. Assisted by Sheriff J. Harlow, June 9th. Twins. No name listed. Mother deceased. Infant custody transferred July 13th. Girl, Agatha Breed. Attended by midwife. Signed, her stomach twisted. No Isadora. No Birdie. She grabbed another ledger. Older. The paper had yellowed, and the ink had bled slightly through. She scanned faster now. Nothing. The wind pressed against the windows. The silence of the house pushed in around her. Then she saw it. Near the back. One page ripped halfway down the spine. A name written in red. Isadora below it in smaller writing. Remove from records. No date, no birth, no location, no follow-up. She stared at it for a long time. Then she heard the screen door creak. Don't like being erased, Bertie said. The woman turned. You shouldn't be in here. You left the door open. You can't just walk in. You looked. I didn't look for you. You looked for her. The woman pointed at the book. You know what this means? She tried to make me real. Real? If they write it down, it counts. She said that. You said her name was Isadora? Bertie nodded. She wasn't listed in the births. She wouldn't be. She lived in this town? No. Then why here? She was sent. By who? The man with the badge. My father? Bertie shrugged. The badge passed around. You know that. The woman flipped another page. She was crossed out. She didn't follow the rules. What rules? She wasn't quiet. The woman pressed her hand against the book. This isn't proof. Neither are bones until you dig them. You're a child. Not really. What does that mean? Bertie walked to the corner and stared at the shelf. I used to sleep in this house. No, you didn't. On that cot. He said I was too loud in the hall. That cot's been folded for years. I remember the quilt, red square in the middle. The woman's voice cracked. That quilt burned. Not before I bled on it. She stood slowly. You need to leave. Already did. Years ago. Don't play games with me. You think I'm lying? I think you're dangerous. Bertie smiled. That's what he said too. The woman turned back to the ledger. Why remove her? She made noise. Noise how? She kept naming names. Whose? Men with boots and stories they paid to forget. Are you saying she was hurt? Bertie didn't answer. The woman stared at her. Are you saying my father hurt her? He told her to go to the shed. That's not an answer. That's all I heard. The woman dropped into the chair. Her hands shook. He used to say this town was clean, she whispered. It's not. He said the ledgers were his legacy. They are. She touched the red ink again. He buried her with ink before he buried her in dirt. She still came back. Why'd she tell you this? She didn't want to disappear. The woman looked up. Why tell me? You're still listening. Bertie walked toward the doorway. Wait. She paused. Was she your mother? Bertie turned her head. She was someone's. Then she was gone again. The woman stared at the torn page. She ran her finger over the name one last time. Then she shut the book. Hard. The dust rose like smoke, and in it she swore she heard someone say, "Keep digging." The drawer stuck when she pulled it. It always did. Her father had jammed a knife in there once to pry it open, said old wood swelled with secrets, said it like a joke, but never laughed. She yanked again. It gave way. Papers slid forward. Pens rolled to the back. She dug through. Receipts, check stubs, sheriff reports. She reached farther, fingers scraping the underside. Something thin and sharp caught her knuckle. She pulled back. Blood. She reached again, this time slower. Her nails caught the edge of something, folded paper, rough, wedged tight against the bottom lip of the drawer. She dug until it gave way. She held it up. Old. Yellowed. Tucked shut without an envelope. She opened it. The ink had faded, but the handwriting hadn't bled. She birthed in the dirt. I kept her silent. The well keeps the rest. Her hands trembled. She read it again. She birthed in the dirt. I kept her silent. The well keeps the rest. She heard floorboards creak. Bertie stood in the doorway, fists full of sticks. "Don't come in here," the woman said. "I already have." "Have you been watching me?" "I follow when you forget to look back." "Are you spying?" "You're searching." The woman held up the letter. "You know about this?" Bertie stepped closer. It was hers. "Who wrote it?" "Him." "Don't lie." "I don't." The woman dropped it on the table. "He said nothing about a well. Nothing in any record." "He didn't write it for the record. He wrote it for himself. For whoever came next." The woman swallowed hard. "The well keeps the rest." Bertie nodded. "You think she's in there?" "She's not alone." The woman's voice cracked. "What does that mean?" Bertie stared at her hands. "He kept more than her quiet." "Are you saying there's more?" Bertie didn't speak. "How many?" "I can't count bones." The woman pressed her palm to the table. "My father wouldn't." "He did." "You didn't know him." "You didn't either." The wind hit the windows. A low groan. The woman picked the letter back up. "How do you know it was there?" "She told me." "She's dead." She never stopped talking. The woman stared at the sticks in Bertie's hands. "Are you still marking?" "She asked me to." "Why?" "So she's not erased again." "She wasn't real, Bertie." She bled. The woman stepped away from the desk. "Get out of this house." Bertie didn't move. "I said go." "I found something else." "Where?" "In the barn." "What barn?" "Behind the field, the one you don't go near." The woman hesitated. "That place has collapsed. There's a door still standing." "You opened it." "It opened for me." "What did you see?" "Boots, rope, a ledger with no ink." "No ink?" "Just scratches, like someone tried to carve names in with a nail." The woman's throat felt dry. "You think he wrote them?" "I think they did." "They who?" "The women." "You're making this up." Bertie laid the sticks down gently by the table. They were names like hers. Isadora. Others, too. Names not in your ledgers. The woman picked up the letter again, held it like it burned. "She birthed in the dirt." "She wasn't the first," Bertie said. The woman closed her eyes. "And he kept her silent. He didn't want her story touching his house." The woman looked around. At the walls, the windows, the locked cabinet. "How long have you been here, Bertie?" "I came after her." "You never left?" "Where would I go?" "You said he let you stay." "He didn't see me." "You hid." "I listened." "To what?" "Names, screams, digging." The woman felt sick. "I want to see the well." "It's waiting." "You know where it is?" "Yes." "Show me." Bertie turned toward the door. The woman followed, letter still in her fist. They walked past the shed, past the field, past the bones of what used to be a barn, down a slope, overgrown and quiet. At the bottom sat a circle of stones, covered by planks, cracked, molded, still. Bertie stopped. The woman stepped forward. "Is this it?" "Yes." She crouched, pressed her hand to the wood. It was damp, cold. She pulled at a board. It groaned, but held. "You sure?" Bertie nodded. The woman wedged the claw of her father's hammer under the edge, prized. The board gave, then another. The smell hit fast. She dropped the tool. Bertie didn't move. The woman looked down, couldn't see much, just black, and a silence that pressed against her ribs. "She's in there?" She said thank you. For what? Being the first to believe her. The woman dropped the letter into the dark. It vanished like it had never been held. Bertie said nothing. Neither did Well. But something changed in the wind, and the earth felt just a little lighter. The next morning, she went back alone. Bertie didn't follow. I didn't need to. The woman knew the way now. Down the slope, past the shed, through the overgrowth and ruin, to the well, half swallowed by moss and memory. She stood over it again. The planks weren't old. Not anymore. She crouched, pressed her fingers to the grain. Fresh wood, edges still splintered, nails unweathered. Whoever covered it hadn't done it years ago. This was recent, maybe weeks, maybe days. She pressed her palm against the nearest board, still damp from last night's rain, but not soft, not aged. She whispered to herself, he covered it again. Behind her, twigs snapped. Birdie stood there, barefoot, same dress, same silence. You see it? The woman asked. I heard it. When? Last week. You didn't tell me. You weren't ready. The woman pulled the hammer from her belt. Hold it low. Your father didn't want them found. Birdie said. He's dead. Still left orders. To who? Birdie shrugged. The woman moved the claw to the first board, wedged it in slowly. Are you sure about this? I already know what's down there. The woman grunted and pried. The board groaned but didn't give. Damn. Other side. She shifted, reset the hammer, and tried again. This time it lifted. Nails popped loud. The board fell back with a wet thud. The smell hit fast. She gagged. Jesus. Birdie didn't move. The woman stood, hand over her mouth. The wind didn't help. It only stirred it up. You sure you want to see this? She asked. I already have. The woman dropped the hammer beside her. It bounced once, then settled. You think someone else came out here? They didn't come alone. Who was it? Someone who owed him. Who? The man with the ledger that doesn't write. She blinked. What? You'll know him by his boots. You keep saying that. They scrape differently. The woman pulled another board. This one came easy. Below it, blackness, rot, bone. Wet earth is too dark to be just dirt. How deep is it? She asked. Deep enough to forget. The woman looked over her shoulder. Why'd he do it? Birdie's voice lowered. They told. Told what? The truth. The woman gritted her teeth. You think this is justice? No. What is it then? Memory. She grabbed a third board. Hesitated. You think I should stop? You won't. I could. You won't. She yanked. The wood snapped at the end, more dark below. The stink is now fully alive. The woman stepped back. I need a light. Birdie held something out, a matchbook. Where'd you get that? Your drawer. The woman took it, lit one, hold it over the open space. The flame danced. She leaned closer, then dropped it. The match flared as it fell, flickering down, then vanished. I didn't see the bottom, she said. You're not meant to. She turned to Birdie. You said he kept her silent. She wasn't alone. The woman looked back down. How many? Birdie didn't answer. You know, don't you? I feel them. The woman crouched again, stared into black. Someone covered this, she muttered. Yes. Someone who's still alive. Yes. Name? Birdie didn't blink. You already said it once. The woman thought, swallowed. Lem Cooper. Birdie looked away. He worked with my father for years, handled burial records. Birdie stayed quiet. He covered for him. Kept the names off paper. The woman stood. Where is he now? White barn, north fence. He still walks. Only when he hears your name. The woman picked up the hammer. Are you going there? Tomorrow. Are you afraid? I wasn't. Now I am. Birdie picked up a stick, planted it near the well. Another, then another. Still marking? The woman asked. They need remembering. The woman stepped back. I watched the girl build her crooked circle again. 12 sticks. Always 12. She stared at the ones nearest the well. The earth around them looked disturbed. Not from the wind, not from rain, from hands. You dig these? They asked me to. You buried them? I gave them a shape. The woman wiped sweat from her neck. I need to know what else he hid. You won't like it. I already don't. Birdie laid the last stick down. I was born wrong, she said. The woman turned. What? I came out quiet. That's not wrong. He thought it was. Did he hurt you? Birdie stared at the sky. He thought I was her echo. The woman took a step forward. He left marks. Birdie didn't move. They're not on the skin. The wind changed. The smell from the well faded slightly. The woman said, he never spoke of regret. He didn't have any. Number he didn't. Birdie picked up the hammer. Hold it out. The woman took it. You done marking? For now. They walked back without speaking. The well behind them creaked once, then went still. The badge fell from the top drawer without warning. It clattered against the floorboards, spun once, then stopped at Bertie's feet. She stared at it. The woman didn't move. Bertie knelt. I picked it up, held it flat in her hand like something dead. "You recognize it?" the woman asked. Bertie nodded. "Where'd you see it?" "In the dark." "What dark?" "Below. In the well. In the barn, too." The woman crossed the room and took it from her. I turned it over. Sheriff, still polished, still her father's, but the back had been scratched. Deep lines, crossed out letters. She looked up. "You think this belonged to him?" Bertie didn't answer. The woman held it tighter. "Then who?" The girl stepped back. The woman narrowed her eyes. "Bertie, don't ask if you don't want it. I need it. You really don't. Who wore this?" Bertie stared at the wall. "He came in after your father. Name?" He said it once. "What was it?" Bertie's voice cracked. He said Sheriff Harlow, like the last one. The woman froze, her chest tightened. "You said Harlow." Bertie nodded. "That's my name." "I know." "Then who—" "He had your eyes." The badge fell from the woman's hand. She backed into the table. "You're lying." "I'm not. My father didn't have a son after me." Bertie stepped forward. "He did." "No. He called him Marshall once, then changed it." The woman shook her head. "You're wrong. He wore a long coat. Kept his sleeves rolled." "No." "Had a mark on his right wrist. Knife scar." The woman's hands dropped. "How'd you know that?" Bertie looked down. "He grabbed me once." "No. He thought I was my mother." The woman stepped forward. "What was his name?" "He whispered. Said if I told anyone, he'd bury me deeper than her." The woman grabbed the girl's shoulders. "Say it." Bertie blinked. "Eli." The woman staggered back. Bertie whispered, "He said you left." The woman sat on the floor. "That's not possible. He had your badge." "No." "He said it belonged to the family." "No, Bertie." The girl crouched. "He didn't like the shed. It said it had too much memory." The woman stared at the badge on the floor. "He buried her, just like your father." She whispered, "He was 15 when I left." Bertie didn't speak. The room felt cold now. "Eli wasn't supposed to stay." "He did. He said he hated it here." "Stayed anyway." "He wasn't supposed to—" Bertie waited. The woman's voice shook. "He became sheriff. He took what was left." The woman stood again. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" "They couldn't." "Why not?" "Because of what he kept." The woman's eyes narrowed. "You mean her?" "And others." "No." He turned the barn into a room without records. "What does that mean?" "Names weren't written, just remembered by pain." The woman pressed her fists to her mouth. "He did what he was taught," Bertie whispered. The woman stared at the badge again. "He used to bring me flowers when I cried. He buried them too. I can't do this." "You already are." The woman backed away. "He wasn't like that." Bertie stood. "He was." She grabbed the badge off the floor, threw it hard against the wall. It hit with a flat crack, then slid down into the shadows. The woman watched it disappear. "He wore this?" Bertie nodded. While he made women disappear." The woman turned away. "I didn't know," she said. "I believe you. He was my brother. And she was my mother." They stood in silence. Then Bertie whispered, "You gonna dig again?" The woman didn't answer. "You want to know who else he touched?" "Yes." "Then the barn's next." The woman closed her eyes. The wall where the badge hit had a mark now, a small dent in the wood. She stared at it, then nodded. "Tomorrow," she said. Bertie said nothing, but she reached for the hammer again. "Hold it out." The woman took it, tighter than before. She followed the fence at first light, boots heavy with dew. The grass came up to her knees now, but the path was still there if you knew how to see it. The wood along the property line hadn't been touched in years. Some rails sagged. Some posts leaned like old men in a storm. She paused near the bend where the cedar split in half, cleaning down the grain. That was where she'd first seen the girl. Not Bertie, the other one. The one with the limp. The one they didn't write down. She pushed through the tall brush. The barn loomed beyond the hill, white paint mostly peeled off like something trying to shed its name. Bertie walked behind her, quiet. Same as always. "Do you remember her?" the woman asked. She bled at the fence. "You saw?" "I smelled it." The woman crouched at the broken post. This is where she crossed, she said. Bertie nodded. She had one shoe. And a bag full of letters, Bertie added. You sure? She dropped them when she fell. The woman stared at the ground. She told me her name, then said to forget it. She wasn't allowed to keep it. The woman stood again. I tried to help her. I know. She ran before I could. She thought you'd tell. I wouldn't have. But she didn't know that. The woman stepped over the fence. The barn stood crooked ahead. She made it to the barn, she said. Only halfway. She screamed once. They heard it. Who? The ones that lived behind paper. The woman walked faster. There was blood on the gate. They dragged her back through. I looked for her. They scrubbed the ground. I told the sheriff. He already knew. The woman stopped. Her voice dropped. I didn't know he wore my name then. He didn't want you to. She turned toward Bertie. Why'd she come to my fence? She said your mother was the last good thing. The woman swallowed hard. She knew my mother. She passed through once, years back. She worked at the clinic then. She gave her a blanket. She always made those. She sewed the girl's name in one corner. What name? Bertie didn't speak. The wind moved the grass. She said the stitch hurt when they took it. The woman reached the barn gate. Her hand paused at the latch. Have you ever gone in? Only when it's cold. It smells like rust in there. And bleach. I remember her coughing. She said they made her swallow metal. The woman pushed the door. It opened with a long groan. Inside, dust swirled in long, slow ropes. The light came through broken beams. Everything smelled like rope and piss and old rain. She stepped in. The barn had changed. A cot in the corner, no blankets. A single boot under the frame. A ledger sat on the stool. No pen, just the cover warped from damp. She opened it. Nothing written, just long grooves. Names carved in. Letter by letter. She did this? She tried. Bertie ran her finger along a name. Marlene, she whispered. The woman turned the page. Another. Scratch. B, she said. Could be Bertie. It's not. Who is it? B, the girl from the mill. She disappeared. She came here first. The woman closed the book. This barn's rotten. It was built for forgetting. She looked around. You sure my brother brought them here? He waited until they couldn't scream. How many? Too many for your fence. The woman's jaw clenched. I should have stayed. You weren't the one digging graves. I left him here. He already knew how to bury. She walked to the cot, lifted the mattress. Something crinkled underneath. A photo. Folded. Faded. A girl in a red dress, limping. One shoe. Standing by the fence that still leaned. Her eyes hollowed out. The woman dropped it. I knew her. I know. She was just a girl. She said she wanted to be light again. The woman stepped back. The barn suddenly felt smaller. I have to tell someone. They won't hear it. I'll make them. They'll erase you too. The woman stared at the door. Let them try. Bertie said nothing. The woman turned and walked out, back toward the fence, back toward the house. Bertie followed. Behind them, the barn stayed open. Inside, the ledger's pages turned slow in the wind, and the scratches whispered the names no one ever said aloud. The shed door groaned when she opened it. The same sound it made the day her father died. Same smell, too. Mold, rust, dry rot, the kind that stuck to skin. Bertie stood behind her, silent. The woman stepped inside. Light cracked through the boards like slivers. The floor was dirt, packed and split. Rusted tools hung crooked on the back wall, dust thick enough to dull the edges. She moved slowly. Her boots scuffed something small, an old nail maybe. Then she saw it. Left wall, midway up, a child's shirt, faded red, frayed sleeves, nailed through the collar. She walked to it, didn't touch it, just looked. The hem was stained dark. Blood, Bertie whispered. The woman didn't move. Bertie pointed. There. She looked closer, initials stitched in thread almost the same color as the fabric. I.H. The woman stepped back. Is that her shirt? Bertie nodded. She wore it the day he told her to be quiet. She was bleeding? From the inside. Why is it still here? He wanted to remember without remembering. The woman stared at the nail holding it. He did this? Yes. Your mother's name started with I. Yes. Isadora. Yes, this is hers. Bertie stepped forward. She didn't want to take it with her. She said that? She said it belonged to the shed now. The woman's breath hitched. I played here when I was 5. She watched you. What? Through the boards, from underneath. The woman turned sharply. She was alive. For a little while. You said she died. She did, but not fast. The woman looked down at the floor. He put her in the ground right here. Bertie knelt, touched the dirt. She bled here first, then he dug. The woman crouched beside her. How do you know? She marked it. Marked how? Her name. In blood. Underneath. The woman grabbed the hammer. You sure? Bertie moved aside. The woman drove the claw into the earth. The ground cracked dry at first, then softer. 2 inches down, the dirt darkened. She dug slower. Fingers this time, not metal. She touched something rough. Clothes. She pulled gently. A corner of another shirt or dress. Too small, too wet, still carrying weight. She stopped. I can't. You already did. Bertie reached down, pressed her hand beside the woman's. They sat there. No words. Just breathe. Just stillness. Then Bertie stood. She bled here, she said again. The woman rose slowly. She didn't scream? She screamed once. That was enough. He must have heard it. From the porch. From the fields. From wherever he stood pretending to be sheriff, father, man. He must have heard her. And let her bleed. The woman stared at the shirt on the wall. What kind of man does this? The kind they don't bury deep enough. The woman picked up the hammer again, lifted it toward the shirt. You gonna take it down? Bertie asked. No. Why not? It belongs here. For who? For whoever comes next. Bertie looked at her. There'll be more. There always are. The woman stared at the blood along the hem. She was carrying you when it happened. Bertie nodded. She delivered right here, on her knees. No one helped her. No one even looked. The woman clenched her jaw. She deserved more than this. She said you'd say that. She knew me. She remembered your voice. The woman turned. How? You used to sing. No? She said you sang once by the window. I don't sing anymore. She remembered anyway. The woman looked around the shed. Every nail, every board, every shadow. This was his place, but it held her now. Held the girl, the shirt, the stain, the birth, the silence. She opened her hand, dropped the hammer. I'll dig her out, she said. She's ready. The woman stared at Bertie. You gonna help? I already did. They stepped out of the shed. The door stayed open. Inside, the shirt swayed just slightly, as if breathing. The floor had always creaked funny near the kitchen. Her father said it was age, said the house settled in crooked, like it learned to lean against the wind. She never questioned the black marks under her bed. He told her it was an old chimney spark caught on the edge of the plank one cold winter. Said he stomped it out himself. She believed him. Until now. Until the shed. Until the shirt. Until the hammering stopped. Bertie was gone. She walked barefoot across the boards, slow, watching where the scorch marks faded and reappeared. Not random. A path. She dropped to her knees near the stove, ran her fingers along the grain. The burn didn't start at the fireplace. It started beneath the wall. She pulled the rug back. Nails scratched the floor underneath. Long, shallow grooves like something had been dragged. She pushed the table aside, opened the cellar door. It groaned. The same smell from the well hit her, faint but real. She lit a match. I held it in front of her. The stairs led down to where they used to store jars, where they used to keep apples wrapped in newspaper. Now it held something else. Ash. The far wall was black. She stepped down slowly. Boards shifted under her weight. At the bottom, she crouched and looked closer. Burned into the wall was a symbol. She didn't recognize it. Half circle. Split line through the middle. Not carved. Branded. She turned. On the back of the cellar door, near the bottom, more black streaks. Too low for a flame. Too high for a candle. She whispered. This was set. Someone meant for it to look small. Contained. Accidental. But it wasn't. It led from the cellar to the kitchen, to the hallway, to the back door. Then to the shed. She climbed up again, pushed through the hallway. She followed the trail, Burns under the floorboard seams, just faint enough to hide from anyone not looking. She passed her father's coat still hanging on the wall. Didn't touch it. Outside the air was heavy. The shed stood open. Still. But Bertie wasn't there. She stepped in. Nothing moved. The shirt still hung. The hammer still lay in the corner. But the sticks were gone. All 12. Pulled from the dirt. She stepped to the corner where she dug. The soil was flat again. Covered. No sign it had ever been touched. She whispered, "No." She backed out fast. Bertie? Nothing. She ran to the barn. Empty. Ran past the well. Still open. Still silent. She stood at the edge, breathing hard. The wind moved against her. She whispered, "Where'd you go?" The earth didn't answer. She turned, back to the house, through the door, and there, on the table, sat the ledger, open to a blank page, except it wasn't blank, carved deep into the paper. E-I-C, her brother's initials. Her stomach turned. She looked around. Nothing moved, but then she heard it, under her feet. A sound not loud, not fast, not hammering, breathing. She dropped to her knees, pressed her ear to the floor. Yes. A breath. Then silence. She whispered, "Bertie?" No answer. She grabbed the hammer, pried up the first board. Underneath, ash and something smooth. Wood again. Another layer. Not part of the foundation. Not part of the house. She dug faster, ripped the second board. More blackened wood. This time softer, newer. Someone had sealed something beneath the floor. She pulled until she found a gap, pressed her fingers in, then stopped. She felt cloth. Warm. Familiar. She whispered, "Please don't be her." She yanked harder, lifted the third board. A small hand reached up, covered in soot. Then another. Then Bertie's face, blackened but alive. Eyes open. Silent. The woman grabbed her, pulled her up. "You okay?" Bertie nodded. "What the hell were you doing down there?" "Following the trail." "What trail?" "The one he left in the fire." "You could have died." "I was already buried." The woman held her tight. "You're not anymore." Bertie whispered, "He tried to burn her out." "The mother?" "All of them." The woman looked around. "How many are under this house?" "Too many for names." The woman stood, held the girl close. "We dig them out." "All of them?" "Yes." "They won't like it." "They don't get to like anything." Bertie rested her head on the woman's shoulder. "Fire didn't finish it," she whispered. The woman held tighter. "We will." The wildflowers were too thick near the gate. Always had been. Her father used to say the soil ran richer there. Blamed the wind for dropping seeds, the rain for keeping them fed. She never questioned it. Now she did. She stood by the crooked post where the fence gave up, hands at her sides, shovel waiting. Bertie said nothing. The woman knelt and brushed the petals aside. Too bright, too many. "You said here?" she asked. "Yes." "How deep?" "Not far." She pressed the shovel into the dirt. The blade was cut clean. Bertie stood with her arms folded, not moving, watching. The woman dug slowly. The roots came up easily. Too easy. "You sure?" she asked again. "I watched them carry the second one." "There's two." "Yes." The shovel hit something soft. She crouched, used her hands now, pulled away the earth. The first thing she saw was leather, split at the heel. Child's boot. She brushed more. A sole. A piece of cloth. Blue. Faded. God. Bertie didn't blink. The woman sat back. "How old?" "Little." "Name?" "Never got one." She leaned in again. The boot had no match. Just one. "Boy?" she asked. "No one ever said that." The second grave sat close. Too close. Almost touching. The woman dug that one faster. The ground gave way again. This time, metal caught the light. She pulled it out. A cufflink. Sheriff's seal. She stared at it. This was his. Bertie stepped forward. "The one before your father." "Before?" "He wore the badge until it stained him." "I thought my father was the first here." "No one's first in a town like this." The woman looked back at the ground. "Why bury them together?" "They both disobeyed." "A child." He saw. "What?" "Something he wasn't meant to do." The woman touched the dirt gently. "They killed him for that. They made it quick. And this one made her dig the hole herself." The woman stood. The shovel dropped from her hand. She stared past the field, past the shed, past the barn. She saw it all now. The pieces, the stitching, the rot beneath. Who else knows? Just us. They never told the town. They told them something else. Like what? She ran off, took the child, stole money. The story changed every year. The woman took a breath. Your mother in one of these? No. You sure? She's deeper. The woman crouched again. She pulled the cufflink from her pocket. Hold it up. Why leave this? Warning. For who? For you. The woman looked down at the two shallow holes. Too quiet, she said. That's how they liked it. I want to scream. You should. She didn't. She sat, hands dirty, elbows on her knees. What do I do now? You already are. I'm tired. So is she. Bertie stepped closer, sat beside her. You going to market? She asked. I don't have sticks. I do. The girl reached into her pocket, pulled two broken pieces, worn, split at one end. The woman took them, pressed them into the soil, one for each grave. She whispered, I'm sorry. Bertie whispered back, They know. The gate creaked in the wind. Nothing else moved. The wildflowers swayed just once, then still again. They'll come looking, the woman said. Let them. I have names now. Not enough. Then I'll dig more. Bertie looked at her. Are you willing to lose everything? I already did. Bertie nodded once. I'll stay with you. You don't have to. I want to. The woman looked out across the field. Something in her eyes changed. Sharper now, colder. She stood, wiped her hands on her dress. We finished it, she said. All of it. Bertie rose too. Behind them, the gate swung once, creaked, stopped. The wind knew not to follow. The rail behind the house hadn't been touched in years. She used to sit on it when she was 12, used to swing her legs, toss apple cores into the grass, wait for her mama's voice to call her in. Now it leaned slightly left, and the quilt still hung there, frayed along the edge, bleached from the sun. She stepped closer. Bertie followed without a word. The woman reached out, touched it. The fabric felt thinner than it used to, but the stitching held. Her mama's needle never let go of thread easily. Yours, Bertie asked. My mother's. She made it for you. Number 4 herself. Bertie moved beside. Her, why leave it out? She hung it the morning she vanished. Did he ask about it? My father. Bertie nodded. The woman didn't answer right away. He said she must have dropped it, she finally muttered. Didn't notice it was missing. Bertie reached for the bottom corner. No, the woman said. Let me. She lifted the hem gently, turned it over. Inside the bottom row, one square stood out. Different colors, slightly raised stitching, a shape, half circle, split line, the same symbol from the cellar wall. Bertie whispered, It's the mark again. The woman nodded. She stitched it in. She traced it with her finger. Next to it, a set of lines, twisting, intersecting. Not random. A path. The woman squinted. That's the well, she whispered, and the barn, and the fence line. She followed the thread to the edge. Near the seam, small letters, hand-stitched, almost too faint to see. Don't trust the fire badge. Bertie read it aloud. She knew. The woman said, She warned you. Number, she warned everyone. She thought you'd come back. The woman folded the quilt slowly. She was planning to leave, but she didn't. She never got the chance. Bertie whispered, He burned the rest, didn't he? Yes. Why save this? She left it before he saw it. The woman stared out past the field. She must have known what was coming. Most of them did. She wanted me to remember. You did. The woman turned to Bertie. Cold? The girl nodded. The woman wrapped the quilt around her shoulders. Pull it tight. Bertie touched the edge. It's warm, she said. She used to hum when she sewed. What song? Didn't have a name. Sing it. The woman shook her head. Why not? I haven't since she left. Bertie sat on the rail, quilt tucked around her legs. She stitched names in her quilts, the woman said. Quiet ones, girls no one remembered. Bertie looked down. You think mine's in there? The woman unfolded a corner, ran her fingers across the back seam. Then she stopped, near the edge, tight lettering, almost invisible. Bertie, she held it up. The girl's breath caught. She knew me? She must have. The girl touched the stitch. She wrote me down, she whispered. The woman nodded. Now you can't be erased. Birdie stood. The quilt slipped off one shoulder. She pulled it back up. I want to wear it, she said. It's yours now. The woman folded the edge near the map. I'm going to follow this, she said. Where to? Where she stopped. You think it ends somewhere. I think it begins there. Birdie looked back at the house. If we go, she said, we won't be safe. We never were, Birdie whispered. He'll know. Let him. Birdie's eyes didn't leave the trees. He watches the rail, she said. The woman followed her gaze. Not anymore. They stood there, quiet. The wind moved the grass. The shed groaned behind them. You ready? The woman asked. Birdie held the quilt tighter. Yes. The woman picked up the hammer from the porch, slipped it into her belt. Then let's finish it. They walked past the house, past the fence, past the flowers that grew too thick. Behind them, the quilt's corner brushed the dirt once, left a clean line, like a name finally written down. She saw her before she heard her. Birdie knelt beside the shed again, where the earth was dry and cracked just outside the door that never closed right. The hammer struck slowly now, not like before. No rhythm, no purpose, just sound to fill the silence. The woman stopped at the edge of the path. Wind pressed the quilt against her back. You said you were done digging, she said. Birdie didn't look up. I lied. The woman walked over, crouched beside her. Birdie's hands were red with dust. The hammer's grip had worn smooth where her fingers stayed. No sticks this time, the woman said. I don't need them. Are you marking something? Unmarking. The woman looked at the dirt. It was soft in patches, turned over and packed again, like someone kept trying to bury the same thing twice. She reached forward and pushed her hand into the ground. It sank easily. She brushed the surface, hit something hard, bone. Not large, not full, just enough to know. She pulled it up. A fragment, a curve, maybe from the jaw. Still white. Birdie's hand reached beside hers. She pulled something else free. A ribbon, frayed, faded pink. The girl held it tight. She wore this when she screamed, she said. The woman stared at her. You remember that? I felt it in my ears. You weren't born yet. She was already mine. The woman dug more. Her nails found cloth, then something smoother, a chain. She pulled it. A locket came with it, bent at the hinge, open. Inside, a face, smiling, tired, alive. She was beautiful, the woman whispered. She didn't want to be. Why not? Because beautiful things get looked at too long. The woman looked at the face again. You sure it's her? She gave it to me. The woman wiped the dirt from the glass. The face behind it stared out like it knew what was coming. Birdie held her breath. You feel that? The woman didn't move. The earth's holding its breath, she said. Why? Because it remembers too. The woman kept digging. Deeper now. Her hand hit something metallic, cold, misshapen. She pulled again. This time it came slow, heavy. A badge, half melted, edges blackened. She held it up. The star was barely there. The lettering warped. Birdie looked at it. He dropped it when? She bit him. Who? The one who finished what your father started. The woman's voice lowered. Eli. He thought she'd bleed quieter than the rest, but she didn't. She named him before she went under. What did she say? Birdie whispered. She said, you'll wear your guilt in her face. The woman sat back on her heels. She meant me. Yes, she knew I'd come back. She stitched your path before she screamed. The wind picked up. The shed groaned. Birdie looked at the open door. She's still here. The woman turned. Inside? No. Where? Birdie pointed to the ground. Below. You mean deeper? No. Birdie pressed her palm to the dirt. Here, all of her. Her sound. Her memory. Her blood. The woman laid her hand beside hers. The earth was warm. You think she can hear us? She never stopped. The woman whispered, Mama gave me to the dirt, but you can take me back. Birdie nodded. I don't know what that means. She made me die. But you didn't. Number I waited. For what? For you to say my name. The woman stared at her. I didn't know your name. You do now. You're not just her child. I'm all of them. The woman's breath caught. That's not possible. Birdie stood. The quilt hung heavy around her shoulders. You believe me now? Yes. Then believe this too. What? It's your turn. To do what? To write them down. The woman looked at the dirt. I don't have a book. You don't need one. Then where? Birdie stepped behind her, pressed the woman's hand into the ground. Here, she whispered, write with your bones. The woman knelt again, pressed her fingers into the soil. The wind stilled. Birdie crouched beside her. Say her name. Isadora. Say the others. The woman closed her eyes. B, Marlene, Ruth, Eliza, June. May Birdie took the locket and set it gently back into the hole. She laid the ribbon across it. She touched the badge, then handed it to the woman. Keep this. I don't want it. You must. Why? Because it ends with you. The woman gripped it. I'll burn it. No. Why not? Because ash forgets too easily. Then what? Bury it where they can't lie anymore. The woman stood, hammer in one hand, badge in the other. You gonna stay here? She asked. For now. Will I see you again? You already do. The woman stared at her. Are you real? Birdie smiled. I'm the sound beneath your floor. The woman turned toward the field, toward the barn, toward the graves, toward the house she would never enter the same way again. She walked slowly. Birdie knelt alone. The quilt slipped from her shoulders. The hammer lay in the dirt. The locket is open, the badge buried deep beneath her knees. She whispered to the soil, Take her now. The earth shifted, softened, exhaled, and somewhere beneath the roots and the rot, something let go.